Your mouth dry?
I think so. Yeah.
Your mouth is dry?
Oh no, it's great. It's wet? Is it? It's not. It's good. It's great. We're good. It is at the normal amount of moisture. Yeah. I should go home. This is a good start.
This is amazing.
This is a great start.
Okay, well, on that note, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today I am pumped because it's actually the day where I get to have my very first guest outside of Zach, outside of my family, and his name is Ian.
First guest.
Oh,
I'm honored.
Honor.
The honor. I'm so glad to be here with you guys.
Okay, guys, I need you guys to know Ian is a wedding photographer. He's going to tell you his whole intro in a second, but I just need you guys to know that I literally asked Ian to be here at 7 p.m. last night?
Yeah.
If not later.
In the middle of, I am moving. I just unpacked our U-Haul yesterday.
Yep.
Is that our place up there?
Nope.
No. Okay.
He's brand new.
We're right next door. We can see their place.
He's over that way.
Yes.
The complete opposite way. But yeah, so Ian literally just moved here, and I've known Ian since high school, college, high school.
Because I started going to 12 Zone in senior year of high school.
That's crazy.
So that is what, 12 years?
That's wild.
12 years.
And then somehow we both end up being photographers.
Uh-huh.
That's wild.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm going to try to let me see if I can find a picture of us. You do a little intro. Tell everyone about yourself. Okay. Tell everyone about the fact that you just moved to Charleston, where you moved from, what you do, and I'm going to find a picture of us.
Great. Okay. I'm about to get exposed. I hope. I don't know what you're about to pull up.
I have no idea what I'm going to pull up, but we'll see. We'll see what face
But
it
yeah,
has.
so I am a wedding photographer. I've been married. I'm a husband of an incredible human being. She's also a photographer.
Very true.
And we've been married for 5 years. We moved here to Charleston, literally in the same complex as them. Actually, the way we found the complex was because we stayed in this room.
Actually, on this pull-out couch.
Yeah, in this pull-out couch. We slept here when we were visiting one time and just fell in love with the area. And obviously, we want to be around community. Moved here from Atlanta. Well, really, technically from Athens, Georgia. Go Dogs. Started wedding photography 3 years now. So it hasn't been too long, but it has been a crazy 3 years.
It's wild to me that you've only been doing photography for 3 years.
For 3 years. It feels so much longer because of how busy it's been.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a blessing.
Yeah.
But it has been, it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Before that, though, I came into this. I was originally working as a college pastor down in Athens. But yeah, I don't know. We have a 7-pound little dog, so happy Father's Day to me too, I guess.
What's your dog's name again?
Millie.
Millie is I know Ian just said 7 pounds, but you think 7 pounds and then you see Millie.
Oh,
it's itty bitty.
It's like the size of a MacBook Pro. She is the size of a MacBook Pro. Yikes. She's the size of a MacBook Pro. She's very small. In comparison
to Bear, though, Bear isn't huge or anything, but it's wild seeing.
But when you see
Millie, yeah. Okay, are you ready for our picture? I'm definitely gonna have Zach, but I'm gonna save this right now. Hold on. And Zach is going to put this on the YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll get to see this. It's so bad. Okay, this is from 2014.
Oh my gosh.
I have no recollection of it.
Is that a goatee?
It might be.
Did I have my goatee? Is that my...
And your earrings in. Oh, you still have your earrings in.
Yikes. The goatee.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a dress on with a tank top over the dress.
That was the look.
And then. The Jesus sandals. I got the Jesus sandals going.
That was the look.
I'll see if I can find any more. And just, I literally have no idea.
I feel like that was a conference if I was wearing that shirt.
I don't know. It kind of looks like On the Border at Mall of Georgia.
Also where we hung out.
Conference
also
on the
where
border.
We hung out.
Any Mexican restaurant.
I just remember after our college nights, we would go and pack out Taco Mac or something. And there would be 60 of us and the servers would hate us.
Yeah.
Because we would just out of nowhere show up with 60 people and be like, yeah, can we get a table?
Yeah, as college students do,
Yeah,
That's such a rough thing.
I know.
Okay.
I hate to admit that because I served for so many years too, but...
And you still did that to people? I never served. I have the excuse. Complete ignorance.
Yeah.
No comment.
Cut this part out.
Got it. No, we definitely never did that. That's fine. But in high school,
we were in college.
In high school, my group always went to Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
And we packed out Steak and Shake.
Yes.
Were you a part of that too?
Yes. That Steak and Shake group that was right there next to 316.
Yes. Oh, so many memories, guys. Yeah, so this is so funny because I didn't know that you were going to be like the first guest on the podcast. But when Ian moved in, I was like, this is too good of an opportunity. And what we're talking about today, I'm super excited about because we're talking about like networking and making friendships. And I literally we went and said hi to Ian and Shelby yesterday in your apartment. We left and I was like, I'm stupid. Why would I not ask Ian to be on the podcast talking about this? Because, guys, he's literally so good at it. You make connections everywhere you go. You make friendships everywhere you go. He was telling us a story of Ian hasn't lived in Charleston for the last, ever. But
never.
But he
first
comes
time.
here.
Second day.
First time.
Second day. First time.
He's new here. But anyway, Ian moves here, goes to a coffee shop, and they're like, oh man, I remember when I worked at a different coffee shop and you walked in.
Yeah, that was weird. I walked into one of the coffee shops here and the guy was just like, yeah, you came into a different coffee shop that I used to work at and we talked for an hour. I felt so bad because I couldn't remember his name, but he remembered mine.
But that's saying something. The fact that you randomly met
horrible.
someone.
Remembering
okay,
names.
not that part, but that he remembered who you were. You obviously made an impression on him, and you weren't even living in Charleston yet.
Yeah.
Well,
we connected because we went we knew a lot of the same people back home in Georgia, and then he was like, oh, let me introduce you to another barista, and then I started talking to this other barista. Come to find out, him and his wife were wedding planners, and I was like, oh, okay. That's so freaking cool.
Thank you.
Okay. And I was like, we're not even here yet. And honestly, that was one of the biggest draws for us moving to Charleston was you guys were here and we just had so much, we have so much more community here than we did where we lived. Cause living in Athens, it's a big college town.
Yeah.
And so everyone there is, in their 18, 19-year-olds. Which is great. We had a lot of friends of those that were around that age, but we just didn't have anybody closer to our age. My wife and I are 29, 30. So we kind of just felt like mom and dad for all of our friend groups. And so here it's nice to be oh, we're surrounded by people that are younger and married and, a little bit later in life. And, and it's just been so much fun. So.
That is cool. Yeah, I definitely think Zach and I have experienced that too moving here. We have a great variety. It's a melting pot of ages in our friend group, even just the podcast knows I talk about my small group randomly, a lot. I wasn't expecting to, but every episode I'm like, my small group.
They're important.
But even in my small group, we have someone who just turned 43 and then we have someone who is I was going to say 19, but she was actually in my old small group. So I'm lying right now. But actually, no, we have someone who's 18, so even younger, but there's a big diversity in ages. And I think that's really cool because I think that's a well-rounded community just in general where people can speak into your life. You can speak into other people's life. You have friendships that are the same age and different ones, it's cool.
There's just so much wisdom from all ages.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice to have a variety of that. And even living in Athens when there was, again, we learned so much from the community that we were around, but we were really craving and wanting people that kind of almost were mentors to us and a little bit older than us. And that was just kind of hard to find in that area. So we're just excited. Yeah. We're just excited to see what the city brings and the people that we get to meet from here.
And Charleston is is it the number one place to get married on the East Coast?
That does not surprise me.
I'm almost positive that I'm not lying. But if somebody finds out that there's a different one, don't come for me because I'm almost positive.
I will say it doesn't surprise me at all because it is a destination wedding spot.
Yeah.
People fly all over the U.S. to get married here.
So you as a wedding photographer.
Oh, I'm excited.
You're about to crush it. You're already crushing it, but we were talking about how busy Ian is. Guys. Yeah.
It was a lot this year. But it was good.
But you were moving, and there's a different kind of hustle that comes when you're moving your business to a new city. I've
heard so many photographers talk about moving cities has always been so difficult, and so because we knew we were going to move here for the last year, we've kind of been preparing and just trying to network and meet people here and build relationships with the people in this community. And so we were always trying to be really intentional about that. Of any time I was here for an engagement session, I would stay a few days longer just to kind of meet some of the local businesses and meet some of the people that work here and that live here, and just try to, I don't know, just build connections, not for marketing's sake, but just for relationships.
Well, your life is about to be here too.
Yeah. And so I think it just made it all that much more sweet and easy to move here.
I love that. So. Okay, I want to get into the meat of the episode.
Let's do it.
But before we do, we got to get comfy. Okay. So I brought you a blanket.
Oh my gosh.
Which one do you want?
I'm all about texture.
Okay, here, take this one. Good. This one's my usual. So I was kind of hoping you would say that. If you are listening, get cozy, get comfy. You guys know at this point. I think this is only like my 4th episode, Ian. So
I am so honored.
But everybody knows, get cozy. That's like my motto in life, I think.
Hey, I'm wow. If I fall asleep halfway through this episode,
I'm like talking, asking a question, and he's like,
this is so nice, y'all.
Snoring in the mic.
This is so comfortable.
Okay. I have some notes and I have questions. I did send Ian the questions. I had Zach on a couple weeks ago. I didn't tell him one thing we were going to talk about. I was like, nope, you're going to just like fly with me on this one.
Yeah, but I bet he was great at it. I bet he was just like, yeah, here's all the answers that I have.
Honestly, he was. I told him he was like a little too pastoral in it. I was like, okay, you got to chill. He's like giving out the sermons. One-liners. I'm not kidding. I was like, no, at one point he was answering a question. He started going like faith, family. And I was like, no. He was like, I got to think of another one. So funny. Okay. So for the meat of this episode, like I said, we're going to talk about like networking. We're going to talk about making friendships. I think I'm going to title this episode Networking versus Making Friendships, because I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I kind of think I am.
Okay.
But I specifically like that title just because I think that like a lot of the time people can, it's actually really similar to what you were just saying, but a lot of the time people can really like think there's networking business wise and then there's making friendships. Like they separate their personal life and their business life. And while I think that's healthy sometimes, I think you do a really, really good job of having a balance of it. So that's why I was like, wow, I'm really dumb if I don't ask Ian to be on this.
That means the world, but also at the same time, I'm just figuring this thing out. So
we're all just hanging out, you know?
We're vibing.
We're comfy.
Yeah, we're comfy and cozy.
Comfy and cozy. Okay. So I have my first question for you. Actually, we didn't ask this in the beginning when you did your intro. I want to know what inspires you the most in photography.
Ooh, that's good. Not just because this is what the episode is, but I would honestly have to say the relationships. The people that I get to meet, the stories that I get to hear, the diversity and thought that just people have. It makes you realize that, like, I don't know. I think and this was something that I learned in therapy, that there's just so much in my own mind that I just think like I go through life and this is what, because I believe this is what's right. And then the older I got, the more stories that I heard, the more people I got to meet, the more I realized like, man, like humanity is not so black and white as we thought it was. And there's so much grayscale in there. And I think I just have I guess one thing that inspires me is just hearing stories from other people and hearing why people believe what they believe and why they love what they love, why they're passionate about what they're passionate about. And it kind of ignites something in me of like, I want to hear more of that. And cool. I often tell people all the time, like before I'm a wedding photographer, I'm just a collector of stories. Like I love getting to hear people's stories and where they come from and
that's cool.
What makes them what makes them tick.
I had a feeling you were going to say something like that. but no, but it's not a bad thing. It's like, it's cool that I knew that. And you and I have never talked in person about that. Like I knew that fully through seeing your work and how you post on social media, which is really cool. Like I could tell what inspires you is people and storytelling. And I think like storytelling is kind of a buzzword right now in photography. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
It's not like a bad thing. It's just kind of a funny thing.
It is used a lot.
Yeah. And I think it's more recent than not, probably because documentary photography is so in.
Yes.
You know, candid kind of thing. But like storytelling is really big. What I think is cool about you is you storytell well in your photos, but you storytell really, really well in your captions. So I feel like your brand in general.
That's why it's so hard. I've talked to people about like sharing workload and like hiring someone to do different things that like you just don't have time for. And the one reason why I have a hard time hiring someone to do my social media for me is because it's like, oftentimes my posts are like, my wedding photos, but then my captions are like, they're either stories of that couple or they're stories about my own personal life.
It's like a journal for you.
It's just, it's my journal. And it's like, if I hired a person to do my social media, like I'm losing all of that vulnerability
Yeah.
aspect and the authenticity aspect of it.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a part of that. The writing of my captions is really therapeutic for me because, like you said, it is a journal for me where I just get to process my thoughts.
I'll push back on that just a little bit, though.
Okay.
I went on vacation, and Zach and I went on a cruise a couple weekends ago. It was like a whole month ago now. A couple weekends ago, a month ago. It's fine. I have no concept of time. Anyway, it was like a month ago, and I batched my whole week, and I hired someone to just post. So it was me. Everything was me on it. Like, I shared photos that I had taken, like, of me and my friends the week before. I just held on to content longer. So it can still be authentic, and someone else click the button for you. So that you can kind of go. I don't know how you do that on a regular basis. Like, I haven't personally done that before, so I don't know. But like, as far as like, if you need a vacation or a week, just like batch it. I put every caption that needs to be on there. Like, every piece of it was written by me.
See, that's genius. I feel like because of sometimes a lot of my captions, because of like how internal they are.
Yeah.
I feel like if I were to batch it, I would have, it would just be an emotional trauma dump in one day. I'd give it to the social media person and be like, okay, I've cried all week. This is your stuff to post. Funny. Like, it would just be, I feel like it would be a lot, but no, that would make so much sense. Like
and maybe you batch over time. Maybe it's not all in one day for you where you're pouring your heart out, you know, I know. As you're typing.
Yes. Actually, yeah. I would be open to that if that was the route that I went with.
Okay. With, like, well, let me know. I'll give you my girl's number.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. Okay, so that's kind of cool that people inspires you. It's like a really seamless transition. Thank you. Yeah. That worked out well. Okay, what do you love about people then?
I mean, going back to the same answer, like I really love the different perspectives that people bring to the table. I love getting to hear where they came from and their culture and their background and their stories. And I think just the relationship that I get to have with people, it teaches me in different parts of my life and certain things that I would have never realized or never would have understood. Cool. Like, I mean, I'm first generation Filipino, and so my parents and my siblings actually were all born in the Philippines, and I was the only one born here in the U.S. And I'm the only one in my family that doesn't speak Filipino, Tagalog. Everybody else does. But growing up culturally, it was like, it's, you know, you kind of, if you want something, you work hard for it. You almost kind of like shut down your emotions. Like, you're like, you just work hard for it. Don't ask for forgiveness. Don't ask for favors. Don't ask for help. Like, figure it out yourself. Yeah. And then meeting other people who are like, no, like, let's talk about the things that you're actually going through. Let's talk about things that are hard. Let's open up your heart a little bit more. It's like, oh my gosh, like, these are beautiful things that I would have never known if I didn't meet other people that taught me how to do that. Yeah. And so there's so much that I'm just getting to learn from so many other people. And so I guess the thing that I just love about being in relationships with so many different people is that, like, I am learning and I'm just growing as a person. I'm figuring this out. And there's so much wisdom from so many people if you're open to hearing it. Yeah.
That's really, really good. I feel like our next question goes back to like work more, but that was so good that I'm like, I kind of
that's fine. That's great. That's great.
But like, I'm like, dang, that's really deep, Ian.
Sorry, y'all.
No, but it
now
is
we start the trauma dump. Just kidding.
No, but what I think is cool is like you're taking something that matters so much and is so like close to your heart and then putting that into your work. And we're in such a creative field where like we can do that. We can put like our all into something instead of having it so like separate, you know, which is really cool. But okay, so going into like my next question, I wanted to hear if you had a story of when networking was helpful for your business side of things, but then also your life.
Yeah. There was I mean, one, there's a couple things. There's a lot of things, really. I mean, one, the community that we have here in Charleston now is predominantly majority of our friend. We had a girl come last night and kind of helped us unpack, and I met her because she modeled for me. Katrina.
Was that Kat?
Yeah. And she helped us unpack late last night, and so sweet. She brought us Chick-fil-A for dinner and all these different things. And then like we just, a lot of the people that have either modeled for us or weddings that we've shot, we've just been really intentional about like, we want to stay in relationship. Like, I'm not just your wedding photographer. I want to just be a friend. And, and so what's been really cool is a lot of those couples that I have worked with live here. And so like building that community has been really nice just to have, and be around. And,
can you tell more of your story with Katrina?
Yes. Yeah. So, I was here, I guess that was 3 years ago. I came to Charleston, this is how I fell in love with it. I came to Charleston to do a photography retreat.
Pause. I don't know if you know this or not. When you came here for the photography retreat, that's when Zach and I had just found out we were going to move to Charleston. And seeing all of your posts, I was like, oh my gosh.
Wait, really?
Like, this is crazy. So I went and immediately, but no one knew yet. Nobody knew that we were going to move to Charleston. I went and immediately followed everyone that you were posting about. Because I was like, gotta prepare. You know? So like, that's how I like randomly.
Is key to moving.
Right. That is right. Key. But it was hard for me because like where you've been able to like really have a really good on ramp, you and Shelby, into moving to Charleston and have good community here. Ours was like overnight practically for people.
Yeah, so you had to start from scratch.
Yes. And so, but anytime that I could, I was like sneakily trying to like get my way into friendships here. So I like followed Allie, who was a part of that.
I will say that is something that you have always been. I mean, I was watching you from a distance of y'all's move to Charleston, and you have been so good at being so intentional with the people here. And like, I talk about this all the time with friends that you don't even know, but like back home, like I would tell them like, yeah, we stayed at our friend's house, and while we're there, they were just like standing outside their balcony, waving at all their neighbors. They knew all their neighbors by name and was just like catching up with them. And I was like,
two of us living here.
And meanwhile,
our neighbors are all annoyed with us because we're out there like, hello, friends.
Meanwhile, me and Shelby are in Athens, and we're just like, wow, we want that. Like, we want community. So
that's so cool. Though.
It was really cool getting to like watch you guys in your element, because I think you guys do a really good job at just the community aspect.
Thanks. Okay, tell your story about Katrina, though. I interrupted.
So, went to a content retreat. This was the time when I was still working as a college pastor, but I was kind of dabbling into photography. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be in it or not. So I kind of went to this retreat, kind of just playing around with it. Went to this retreat, ended up loving it, and then stayed a couple of days extra and started just messaging random people on Instagram, being like, hey, would you want to model for me? Would you be down to do like a little beach shoot with me? And I had actually reached out to Katrina and her boyfriend at the time. And we ended up doing a shoot together. After that, we ended up going to dinner, and then we just talked. We just talked about life and talked about each other. And then next thing I know, we just kind of built a friendship where it was like every time we were in Charleston, we would try to link up and get dinner or see each other. And what's so cool is like we have just stayed so connected that I look at her as like my little sister at this point. And
so cool.
She says all the time like, oh, you're gonna be my wedding photographer. You're gonna be my wedding photographer. And I'm like, okay, don't make false promises, because I get attached really easily. I will get attached easily. But yeah, it was just so sweet how like we went from that to now. It's like every single time I'm in Charleston, we make an effort to go hang out with her. And then last night she stayed till like 11 o'clock at night, almost midnight, unpacking the kitchen stuff with us. So it's just been so sweet kind of getting to be there.
Did you baptize Katrina?
Yes. How did I miss that?
Yeah, I was like, wait, that was kind of what I was talking about.
Okay, my bad.
That's really cool, but also I want to hear that part too.
Katrina randomly reached out to me one day,
funny.
And she was like, hey, I started, at the time that I met her, she was still kind of, we didn't really talk a lot about our faith or anything like that. And, but I'm someone who's very open about my faith. The way that I look at it is like, I'm not necessarily going to sit there and tell you like, oh, like, do you know about your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Like, that's just not my personality wise. Yeah. Like, that's just not me.
Not.
But the way I look at my relationship with God is very similar to my relationship with Shelby. Like, whether you like it or not, at some point she's going to come up in conversation because of how much she means to me in my life. And so my relationship with God is the same way. It's like, whether you like it or not, he's going to come up in conversation. I'm not necessarily trying to get you to have a relationship with him, nor am I trying to get you to like to believe in him. He's a big part of my life. And so I was having conversations with Kat about it. And
that's a great way to say that, by the way. I don't think I've ever heard it that way, but that's so true.
It's just like you're in a relationship with a person. And so it's like, it's such a real thing. I don't need to sell this person to you.
I'll be talking to my friends, like whether they have a relationship with Jesus or not. I'll be like, I was talking to God this morning about blah, 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 blah. And they're like, did you just say you were talking to God this morning? I'm like, yep.
It's so beautiful that way, because then you're not pressuring. I don't know. It just takes some of that pressure off.
Totally. Yeah.
And it shows them like how real and authentic that relationship actually is.
Yeah.
So I was just having that conversation with Kat on literally the first night that we went out to dinner, and I didn't know that it was like striking something in her. But she then reached out to me. This was probably like a year later, or a year and a half later. She reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I don't know if you knew this, but I've been going to church a lot, and actually am wanting to give my life to Christ, and I want to get baptized, and I would love for you to be a part of that, and I want to get baptized in the ocean in Charleston." And I was like, "Say less, I will make a trip up there." I was still living in Athens.
My
at
little
that time.
sister getting baptized, absolutely.
Yes, I was like, I'm not going to say no to that. Absolutely, I'll be there. And I think I had like an engagement session on that day, and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna reschedule that and move that on a different day, because I have something pretty important happening." And so I came up here, and then it was like an hour before the baptism. She calls me and she goes, "Hey, actually, I've been meaning to ask, what if you baptize me?"
I've been meaning to ask. It's an hour before. Katrina.
I know.
What?
She was like, "Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you this. It would be an honor if you would you be willing to baptize me?" And I was like, I just started crying, and I was like, "You have no idea what this means to me." And so we went out, and it was
so cool.
It was super intimate. We had my wife was doing some of the she did some photos just for memory's sake, but it was really intimate. It was like me, her mom, and then she had 3 friends that were there. So
special.
Super intimate. And we just went out to Sullivan's Island and got baptized, and spent moments just kind of praying for her. We blasted worship music and just enjoyed it. And it was in the middle of a thunderstorm. Everybody else was like, "You shouldn't be here right now." And we were like, "Hey, we're sitting in this.
God will protect us."
Yeah, we're sitting in this. We're not doing this.
That is amazing.
But it was just such a beautiful moment. And it's little things like that.
Yeah.
That just, I don't know. Again, when you don't look at people as potential clients, and you look at them as humans, and you get to see I don't know, there's an opportunity for something beautiful there.
That's really cool. I actually have a story that's really similar to that, and I haven't thought about how similar it is, but one of my really good friends, Aaliyah, I met her because she modeled for me. And then that was,
God, I met her. Jobs.
I know, right? It's you just get to meet people and then see what happens with their lives, and just capture it. But yeah, I met her May of last year. And then I want to say it was October or November, I got to baptize her. In our pool, our Monty pool.
In the pool?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah, but so similar to you too, where it was I just began to talk about my own faith, and it was sparking something in her. And she's like, oh, and God just began to mess with her. And so she became a part of our small group. Me always bringing up my small group. And she is actually in a different small group now. But yeah, God's just done incredible things in her life and healed her emotionally of so much. And it was just amazing to get to see. And it's so cool when we're not leading people. It's not because we're leaders necessarily. It's literally just making friendships with people.
Doing life.
Yes. And that's how it was in the Bible anyway.
Yes.
Jesus made friends with people, and that's how they came to know him, and then his friends made friends with people. And, it's just
it's as you go in life, as you're doing whatever you're doing, just making disciples and meeting people left and right and loving them well. And I think we kind of, it's such an overused word, but also such an underrated action of just loving others well and seeing them again, not as a commodity, not as something that, what can I get out of them, or what kind of business can I get out of them, and I think this is where this is kind of, I guess, going to another conversation that we probably go in later on of I'm personally someone who which is probably a controversial conversation, but the idea of work-life balance in my life, it's I don't know if there's necessarily such a thing as a work-life balance. There's prioritizing what's important at that moment and at that time. And I think sometimes when we separate work and our life too much, one becomes so much more exhausting when it's all of this is our life. I don't know. And I think when we start looking at our work not as work, but as a part of our life, it becomes more fun, and then 2, it's it just makes it easier to do ministry, to be someone that is just like, this is what I get to do.
Yeah.
And I love what I get to do. And,
no,
I don't know.
Really
I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh no, but there needs to be boundaries. Like, I'm not saying there's not boundaries. I think there needs to be boundaries. But
everybody knows I'm a really big proponent of boundaries. So don't be hating on boundaries again.
No, boundaries are needed. If you're not gonna have a separation between work and life, then there needs to be boundaries.
Yeah.
But
no, that's exactly how I feel too, though. Like, if there isn't going to be a separation, if all of my life I'm just going to be a human, and like me being a human is prioritized, because humans work, humans play, humans live, humans laugh, they love, like all of these things. Like, wow, that sounds really like feely, touching.
Love.
Live, laugh, love. Like that, okay? But like, there are things that like as a human I need, and I feel like in my job and in my life, just in general, like I want it to be one and the same.
Yeah.
And like when I make friends in my job, I want it to be the same way that I approach my friendships too. Yes. But I do think like boundaries are really important if you're going to do that, if you're going to live that way. So like, I have been putting my phone to bed. This is like a big thing in my life right now. Like, literally I tuck it in at night, like I put it on its little charger.
That's so good. I don't do that, but that's so good. I should.
No, it really has been like so helpful for me though. Cause like I've been putting it in this room actually. So that way it's like fully out of the room. And what I do is like at night, I just read. I'm just me. It's me and Zach,
I love that.
And I've just been like reading and chilling. And then I wake up in the morning, spend my time with Jesus, journal, and then I'll go to my phone.
Yeah.
But before I do that, it's like just me time.
Yes.
So there's a difference too of like, you can have balance in your life, but still be the same person, still have the same hat on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
in order to have those boundaries, in order to have that balance, I think the reason why boundaries are so important is because I think as humans, we're just not good at balancing. And so boundaries help us balance so well.
Yeah.
Because like, I know myself, and I know I have the tendency to be, when you watch movies and it's like, there's that, it's always so sad. There's those movies and it's like that father who's never home because he just works 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
And then the mom is like crying and the kid's not like, I don't know my dad. And
I feel like that's not a movie thing. That's like
I know that's real life. No, I know that's real life. I'm just saying, like, whenever I see that in movies, I'm just like, I know myself, and at my worst, I can be that dad. I can be that father that's like, that I'm the one that's overworking, and I can justify it in my head of like, no, this is important because I need to provide. I need to do this. And I think a lot of that too comes from cultural narratives of like being a Filipino. It's like, you are the provider. You're the one that does all this. And so I think there's a lot of pressure on that on my end. But in order for me to be a human, and in order for me to fill up my own cup, balance is important in that. And I think balance helps me to balance myself, or boundaries help me to balance myself in that, so that I can, what you said, turn my phone off and spend time with my wife, and eat dinner with my wife and relax, and let's not do anything. Let's do a puzzle together, and let's, again, be a human being.
Do you like puzzles?
I actually hate puzzles. I don't know why.
Really? I just got so excited.
No, I'm so sorry.
I actually come over and do a puzzle.
Puzzles stress me out. I will be that person that if we open a box of puzzles, I'll look at it and I'll try to put like one or two together, and I'm like, I'm over it.
That makes me so sad. We were never puzzlers until this last year, and I think like turning 29 just made us old. Like, I don't know. We like all of a sudden we're like, we love puzzles and board games.
I guess I just don't think I have the patience for it. I think I get frustrated.
It takes hours. That is something. Yeah. But our upstairs neighbors, we'll introduce you guys. Don't worry.
Okay.
But our upstairs neighbors love puzzles, so we like swap back and forth with puzzles.
No, so we did, however, get one of those. It's not puzzles, but it is tedious, and I love it. It's one of those like paint by number.
Oh yeah.
We got one that was like, it was like the difficulty level was like hard, and I was like, oh, easy. Well, it's you're painting by numbers. How hard could it be? And we opened it up, and it's like each section that you're painting is like so small, and the painting is like this big, and I'm just like,
would your hand cramp up? Like, I don't think I could.
Yeah, I think after
I have
like
inflammatory disease,
it was
I can't deal with that.
It was after like maybe an hour in, my hand was cramping up, and I was like, let's take a big picture look at what I've done so far. And I like look up from a distance, and it's just like one little section of like different colors, and I was like, oh, this is gonna take months,
and we're done.
But I do things like that. I enjoy. Like, I think I enjoy the tedious mindlessness, but the ones that are like you have to think hard, I'm like, oh, that burns my brain.
See, I think I'm opposite than that. Like, have you ever played Catan?
Yeah.
Okay, I love Catan.
It gets heated.
Yeah, well, I like being. See, I'm having a hard time because yes, I am.
You're a strategist.
So like, I want to tell you more about my strategy, but I also know we're gonna play. So like, I can't. But like, I'm very sneaky.
Okay, that's good to know.
So okay, we gotta move on. I can't tell you all my strategy.
Wait,
okay, this is actually I know, right? Well, it's us talking, so like we really could. Okay, I really did want to ask this though. How do you balance authenticity in friendships while also being professional with clients? Because I feel like you do that well, but I'm curious if you have any like thoughts to it.
I don't necessarily think they're two different sides of the coin. I think they're the same. I think when we have the idea of professionalism, we think uptight, and we think that's why we think opposite of authenticity. But I would almost argue that like you can be both authentic and professional at the same time. And
totally.
And so for me, the way that I look at it is like, I think I correlate professionalism almost on like being respectful, being on time, being someone that you can count on. Like those for me are like, okay, those I would consider being professional. But that doesn't mean I need to get rid of my personality and who I am, and that I can't be authentic with you and be who I am and be honest about who I am.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Good.
I think that's
Have you ever had, this was not in my question list, but have you ever had where you've had to kind of like draw a line with someone as a client?
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Boundaries.
Like, boundaries.
But
like if they've asked for re-edits or whatever it might be. Okay. So how do you do that? Or tell a story. I don't know. I'm just talking.
I think that professionalism is not only respect to the client, but it's respect to myself.
For sure.
And so in situations where things like that happen, so like for example, I had a client one time, we went back and forth a lot on different styles and different things that they liked, and I always try to gauge what kind of style they want to go for, and after I delivered the gallery to them, I told them, I was like, from the beginning that like I don't do a whole lot of like, I try to keep things as natural as possible, so I don't do a whole lot of like facial touch-ups. Like if there's like if there's like a thing here and there that they want to remove, fine, but I'm not gonna like change your body type and all these different things, and I always let them know that in the beginning, just so that there's clear expectations. Again, that's what I would consider professionalism of like, here's
clear expectations.
I just want to be clear about everything. And after I sent the gallery, they were just like, oh, can you like my foot looks a little weird here. Can you like make it look smaller and all these different, I was like,
oh,
and
what?
I just
make their foot look smaller.
Yeah. I've had some weird, I've had some interesting requests, but like things like that, or I'll have clients I tell my clients a lot of times, like, I am, I'm available if you need me. Like, here's my phone number, which like I actually give my phone number to my clients, which hot take.
That is a hot take.
I'm actually even still figuring that out myself.
Yeah. It's personal preference.
Yeah. Honestly. I'm still figuring that out myself. Like I like the relational aspect of it, and I love them feeling like they can reach me whenever they need to.
Yeah.
But there is a point where it's like, okay, you have been blowing up my text messages like left and right, and I have had to, and that was the same person doing both of those things. And so I've put my foot down, and the professional side of me was like, okay, now I need to protect myself. Now I need to be straightforward and protect it. And so that's when I told her, I was like, I appreciate you that like you feel comfortable enough to come to me and ask me all these different questions, and I'm here to help as much as I can. However, I do want to let you know that like it's 9:00 at night, and I am.
Do want to let you know? Stop.
I am with my wife right now, so like I've had to be upfront.
Yeah.
And again, there's a way of going about it that doesn't need to be like rude or harmful or anything like that. So yeah, I think there's a part of it where it's like, there again, boundaries. This title of this episode is boundaries. Actually,
yeah, we're not actually talking about networking anymore. We're just talking about boundaries.
Yeah, so, but yeah,
wait, it should be networking. ... I mean boundaries.
But I definitely don't think that there is a difference between being authentic and being professional. I don't think that those are opposite. I don't think those are binary. I think there is a way of doing both.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a really good thought. I think it just, even as you were talking, it's almost like authenticity is setting your boundaries when needed. Like that is, it's being authentic to what you need in the moment.
Yes. It's being honest. It's being real.
Yeah.
With who you are, what you're capable of.
Yeah.
What you can handle.
But then the professional side is how you communicate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really good, Ian.
So
good job. Good answer. Honestly.
Thanks.
Very pastoral. No, I'm just kidding. Bringing Zach back.
We're just figuring this out.
No, it's very good. Okay. You are a natural extrovert. Would you agree with that? No, your face says otherwise.
God, this has been a conversation I've had with my wife for years.
Bring me in. What's going on? Tell me everything.
I mean, when you look at the actual definition of an extrovert, it's where you get your energy from. It's where you get filled. And so it's not, I mean, you can have a room full of people that are talking loudly and, but they're all introverted. And it's just a matter of where do you get your energy from? And so in that definition form, I would say I'm probably right in the middle, maybe a little bit more on the introverted side.
Yeah. You and I are actually very similar then.
Yeah. I would definitely say I'm a social introvert.
Yeah.
I love being around people. I love being around large groups of people. I love interacting with people. And I think the reason why it blends so much to the extroverted side, where it looks like it's extroverted, is because my passion's for people. Like my passion's for stories. My passion is for wanting to get to know, backgrounds and upbringings and ideologies and perspectives. And because that's my passion, it looks like I'm extroverted. But I think the way that I recover is I need to be in my room journaling and have my own time alone and have just a moment
that makes
to breathe.
sense.
And so now I will say it's hard because even to this day with my wife of 5 years will argue that I'm an extrovert because I do think I want to be around people more frequently.
Yeah.
If I had one day where I was just at home alone, I lose my mind the next day and I'm like, I need to go be around people.
See, that sounds extroverted.
So, yes.
So you are really in the middle.
So I do think, but it's hard because then if I'm with people all day long in one day, the next day I'm like, I just want to shut down.
You're at the swing mark.
So it's so weird. I guess they call it ambivert, which is you're right in the middle of extrovert and introvert. So I don't know, because I do feel like I get energy from both.
Yeah.
I get energy
from... Okay, well then that's interesting
I
because...
get energy from living.
I feel like what's... just from being here.
Photosynthesis.
Okay, but I feel like what's cool about that is you have a unique perspective of understanding both.
Yes.
Like the introverts and the extroverts. Yeah. So what I was going to ask, and maybe it's cool because I feel like you understand this. I was going to say, do you ever get tired of networking or making friends, and how do you combat that? And then I was going to say, do you have any advice for introverted friends who want to put themselves out there, but maybe it feels daunting to them?
Oh, that's a good question. First one, yes, absolutely. I get exhausted.
Yeah.
So there's definitely times where I need to I just need to be by myself. I need to unwind. Nothing hits better than just a burger and watching TV.
I was thinking
being
pizza.
alone, or just I'm so lactose intolerant.
Well, we have mellow mushroom down the street.
That's what we had last night.
Us too. Why didn't we bring it to you?
Wait, really?
we went and you ordered it?
We went and picked it up and brought it back.
Oh, you probably went and picked it up while we were there then. We could have just brought it home to you.
Shortly after you guys left, that's when
we went to Mellow when we left your apartment.
Okay, great.
So
cool. We were there. Okay. We were there at the same time. So Mellow Mushroom's great. They got great vegan cheese.
Yeah.
But I love just getting to have alone time. And honestly, a lot of the way that I even work is a lot of the weddings, in the wedding industry, wedding venues are not close to each other. So oftentimes my commute for weddings is hour and a half to 2 hours average.
Pause.
That's on a short
That
end.
will change now that you're in Charleston.
That's true, but I also still have a lot of weddings in Georgia.
Okay, so never mind.
Going back and
Go back to what you were saying.
So I think weddings is just interesting because it's a lot of my weddings are kind of along the East Coast. So I have some weddings in Syracuse and kind of just all over the East Coast. And so the drives are long. And so people are you just seem like a guy who's bumping rap on your way to a wedding, hyping yourself up. And I'm like, actually, radio's off and it's dead silent. And I'm in my thoughts and I love it.
That's so funny.
And a lot of people are scared of their thoughts. A lot of people are scared of silence. And I think I have developed such a beautiful relationship with my own thoughts that it's things that for the first time I can actually slow down and breathe and think about things that I'm going through. I remember I wasn't always great at it. In college, I used to put a reminder on my phone at 3:00. Alarm would go off at 3:00 in the afternoon every day. And the question was, how are you? And I would like, how am I? How am I really? Like, yeah, I had to ask myself.
Why at 3 p.m.? I feel like that's like a weird time.
I think in college it was like, that was like, I was done with classes.
Okay. So it's like the end of your day kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of the
Okay.
end of
I was
my
like,
day.
that is like the middle of the day and I have to process.
Sorry, I have to stop this conversation. I have to process real quick.
It's 3 p.m. Gotta go.
Yeah. So I think it just worked out for my schedule. But I know I needed those space. And I know even with my wife, like I can't be my full, like I can't give my full self to her unless I have given that to myself first. Like unless I'm full, I can't work from a place of overflow if I'm empty.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, it's like I value the alone time a lot so that I can fill up. It might not take me that much to fill up. I don't need a lot of time to fill up. I can fill up pretty quickly. But then the overflow lasts really long. And so I love being around people. I love, so yeah, to answer your second question.
Yeah. Tips.
Oh, that's hard because that's something that is a conversation that my wife and I go back and forth on because Shelby is definitely the introverted. She's definitely a lot more shy. She's like,
if you guys don't follow Shelby on Instagram, you should too.
Yes. Yeah. It is shelby.cc and, or
super
CC
talented.
Portraits. She's incredible.
Yeah.
We don't do the same things. I do weddings. She does more like creative portraits and things like that.
It's so funny because they're so different.
We're very different.
But like it makes sense.
Yeah,
you know, like you see it and it's like, that makes sense.
There was a reel that she posted a while back where on the same day we both had photo shoots and I was doing like this cute engagement session with like the couple was like in a lake and the mattress was floating and all that stuff. And then meanwhile, she was in the garage doing a photo shoot of like this girl with like vampire teeth and blood and like, and it was very different.
I forgot about that until you started saying it. And then I was
very,
like, oh yeah,
different.
I remember the bloody scene.
Yes, very different.
Because it was like a shock.
But that's like her vibe. She loves that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like swamp, moody.
Yeah, very like dark in the best way, you know? Yeah.
And so, yeah, but she's definitely a lot more on the introverted side. And this is something that we've had conversations with a lot of like learning how her mind works and learning how I work. And I don't know. It's hard. It really is because I don't want to be insensitive to people that are introverted and have a harder time, putting themselves out there. But I do think kind of like with a lot of parts of any job, there's always that difficult thing. Like,
sure,
I hate taxes. But we gotta do them. Like, we gotta do them. Like, I hate taxes. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not like, I can't.
Maybe an accountant, because I can't.
Yeah, I'll just hire somebody. And like, so, that's something that's really hard for me. But it's something that's like, it's a part of the job that needs to get done.
Yeah.
And so, I think same thing for introverts. It's like, it just has to be done. Now, I don't think it needs to look the same way an extrovert would do it.
That's good, yeah.
I don't think... And again, this goes back to me valuing authenticity more than anything else. I don't think that it needs to be not you. It needs to be 100% you. And if you are not the person that is going to be at the wedding, hyping everybody up, cheeks on the dance floor, like that's not, if that's not you, then don't force that because that's only going to burn you out. That's only going to exhaust you because it's not you.
Yeah.
You're playing a facade of what you think you should be. But the reality is there's a client for every photographer. And
that's really good.
There's a photographer for every client and not everyone's going to want that loud, noisy photographer that's hyping everybody up. I would be probably annoying to some couples because of how much I'm that person that's like, I'm going to be in the middle of the dance floor. I'm going to be hyping you guys up. Like,
but to your couples,
but to my couples, they love that.
Yeah.
And I would actually argue that, like, I would actually say majority of the couples that book me don't necessarily book me for like necessarily my work, but they book me for who I am and being that hype man that they want me to be. And I
was just on Cassidy's podcast this last week and I said the exact same thing. I think I'm an okay photographer. Obviously, I think you're a great photographer.
Whatever. You are incredible. I don't know
but like there are so many photographers who are better than me, but people book me because I'm me. And because I'm sharing my personality online, and it's the same with you too. Like they're booking you for your personality. Yeah. And if you're shyer, that's okay too. Share those things that like make you uniquely you. People are going to book you for that because they're going to relate to you. They're going to connect with you,
And I think right now that is one of the most important things. I think I remember when I worked as a college pastor, one of the things that we had to read was, it was a book called iGen.
Okay.
And it was primarily a book. The author was a sociologist who studied, she herself, I believe, was a boomer, and she also studied She wrote another book specifically on millennials, and then wrote another book specifically on Gen Z, this generation, and just kind of in a very like non-biased, just statistical book about like what this generation is compared to like millennials or compared to other generations. And one of the things that she talks about how is like this generation is values, which I think is so beautiful, values so much of being real, being authentic. They like, you
see that in TikTok even.
Yeah. Like they don't care about what you're selling as a company. They care about what you stand for as a company, what your values are, and can they stand with you. And so I think the more that like you are genuinely yourself, authentically yourself, the more that it's going to draw the people that are looking for that personality.
That's good.
Because people nowadays are looking for people that they can relate to over social media. And that introverted, quiet one is not going to look at my page and be like, wow, I relate so much to him. Like, that's just not, like, that's not going to be, my clientele. And that's okay. Right. Which is also another reason why, like, I'm not a big fan of, like, the idea of competition, which I know that's another overused word in the photography industry of like the whole like
community over competition. Yeah.
But the reality is
true.
Like, it is like, there is so like, I remember when I first got into photography, everyone was like, why are you going to be a photographer? Like, there's so many photographers out there. And I'm like, yeah, but one, there's so many weddings out there that are, so many people getting married. There's so many businesses that need photography. Yep. There's so many different things. Yeah. And so we actually have so much freedom, more freedom than we realize, to niche down and to utilize our style, the way that we work, but also our personality. And I would, if anything else, I would just say lean into what you would say the best parts of you is and lean into that.
That's really good. Something I've kind of been processing, like even just with Zach, is like, what if a niche, don't take this as like, solid word here, but like, what if a niche is less about like naming your client if you like everything that you're shooting, right? Like if you specifically like something, then obviously shoot that specifically. But if you don't, what if your niche is less about that and more about yourself? So
100% agree. This is truth. This is solid truth. This is solid truth.
No, but like I've been thinking a lot about that because since I moved to Charleston, I really think like my style, like I've just found my style. It's so clear, and it's like when you look at it, I actually shoot
those
quite
coastal
a bit.
presets pop off.
Thank you. Coastal Charm presets available now on my website.
Wow, you didn't have to tell me any of that.
It's my branding, No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like my specific style is like vibrant and poppy and energetic. Like when somebody looks at my photo, I want them to be able to feel energy in a way, like, and not in a like, woo-woo kind of way, but like in a like, it's energetic, it's fun, it's bubbly, and like it just pops. And that's
which
kind of like
get from you.
Yay, thank you. That's what I've been working on.
And it also matches who you are as a person.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying too. And for you, like you just told me what inspires you the most in photography is people and storytelling. And that's exactly what I see on your page too. It's like you're putting that out there because that's what's inside your heart and that's what's you. And then it helps you to figure out your style. And that's how couples find you. And you obviously have a niche of like specifically couples. But for me, I do graduating seniors, I do brands, and then like I take the occasional wedding and couple as well. Yeah. Not as much, but like I do those things, but my style is a lot more of like not the specific niche, but the like words that describe my style. And if somebody fits in that, great, come on in, like sounds good.
We have the flexibility where people aren't buying into our product, they're buying into you. They're buying into us, they're buying into me. And so like, I think that's really cool is like, those are the people that like, honestly, I would argue that like, especially with social media for us, at least, like, I wonder if the two of us decided to drop photography and do something else, I don't feel like we would have a lot of people that we would lose in terms of followers because
That's interesting.
I'm wondering. That's not word, but I'm wondering.
And we're not planning on dropping photography.
And we're not planning on that. But I'm just wondering because like the values are still there.
Yeah.
And the heartbeat behind whatever we decide.
Who did a great job with that transitioning? Kylie. How do you say her last name? Kaich. You guys know who I'm talking about? Do you know who I'm talking about? Maybe.
I don't know. Do I know?
Let me pull her up.
Kaich?
So it's something like that. I can't remember how you pronounce her name, but she's huge. It's Kylie Katich. Katich. She's 1 million followers.
Yes.
And she's amazing. But she started, I've been following her for years now. She started as like taking photos of herself. Like she was a photographer and her little like niche on Instagram was like self-portraits, and she really blew up from it. But then she pivoted, she became a mom, pivoted into more like motherhood stuff, gained some followers through that, right? Now she's full on like a renovation project person. Like her bio now is
people are buying into her.
Yes,
not what
exactly.
She does
and she now has 1 million followers. But when I started following her and she was just doing the photography stuff, she didn't. So it's like cool to see how she's transitioned really, really well because people have bought into her. And that has nothing to do with like her energetic, extroverted personality. It's just the things she likes to do. Yeah. Yes. So like leaning into that is actually a really, really good tip.
And I've even noticed too that like a lot of people that still follow me, it's like they have no need for photography. They're not getting married anytime soon, but so many of them are like, no, I still follow you because you talk a lot about your faith and a lot about your journey.
That's cool.
Of where you are in life. And honestly, I'm here for like the captions. Like I'm not even.
I don't.
They're like I don't even see your photos. Like I'm just reading your captions. And so like, but it's so nice to know that like there are people that are they really care for who you are as a person. I think that really can only come with the authenticity that you put out.
Yeah. That is really cool too. I feel like I have a lot more engagement when I post about personal stuff sometimes too. Like yesterday I posted a photo of me eating dino nuggets. But like so many people liked it.
This was right after Mellow Mushroom.
No. This was before. Clearly care about health. Okay, but it was all okay. My pizza was low FODMAP. I'll be honest, but I did have
what?
Okay. So I have an inflammatory disease, and I eat the low FODMAP diet. Have you ever heard of it?
Low FODMAP?
Yeah. So it's like an acronym for a bunch of stuff I can't pronounce.
Oh, I didn't know
But
that.
yeah, so I eat that. I've done it for like a year now. And then I also eat gluten-free. So Mellow Mushroom does have dairy-free, but I do dairy even though that's technically not low FODMAP, but that's like the only
But they
thing.
also do gluten-free too, right?
But they do gluten-free.
Yeah.
So it wasn't healthy, but it was within my inflammatory diet.
Hey, sometimes you gotta treat yourself.
Yeah, but again, I also had the dino nuggets before. But they were gluten-free too. And I had my like low FODMAP ketchup with it.
Dino nuggets.
Exactly.
That's practically healthy.
Okay,
right
we need to end out this episode because Ian and I like genuinely, I don't know how long this is
Sun's going down.
But like it kind of is. Like we could just chat all day, but I won't make you guys stay for that. Okay, so I think I'm gonna make this a thing for my podcast, but you're the first guest that I've had on. Woo! So I think I'm gonna ask every guest this on my podcast, but what question should I ask the next guest on my podcast?
Ooh.
I'm gonna write it down when you say
it. Are most of your guests going to be creatives? Or just
for the most part. I also said like in my first episode, I also like warned everyone I want to be able to just have my friends on, so we'll see.
Cool. I would say
I'm really putting you on the spot.
I know. What is okay, hold on.
I typed what, so it has to start with what.
Okay. What is something that you are extremely passionate about, and what are you doing to lean into it?
Dino nuggets.
Lean in.
Okay. What is something you're passionate about?
Yeah. And what are you doing? And what are you doing to lean into it?
I love it.
Because I'm all about getting people to do what they actually love and not just follow the status quo. This is what needs
status quo. Zach and I just watched High School Musical.
I've never seen it.
Okay, the episode is done. We're going to move on real quick from that statement because
I'm so sorry.
That made me really sad. And you're definitely coming over with Shelby. We're going to watch
movie
it.
night.
Movie night, High School Musical. I sang through the whole thing when we watched it the other day.
Oh, so if we watch it together, you'll be singing the whole thing?
100%. And I can't sing, guys. So it's not a good day for anyone, but we're going to do it. Okay, where can everyone find you before we sign off?
Instagram at cuenca.creative. I will spell it. I know. Filipino. Cuenca is Cuenca. Cuenca.creative.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a dot.
I'll put it in the show notes for you too. And also I think there is a dot.
Okay. Cuenca.creative.
You should know that.
I should know that. And then my website is the same thing, cuencacreative.com.
Okay. I love it. Well, signing off from our first guest on the podcast.
I'm so honored.
Thanks for being here, Ian.
Thanks for having me.
You just watched Let's Create with Alex Blake. I will see you next Thursday.
Bye, guys.
I just want to make something that matters to myself. Unique and distinctive, just as long as it's special. 'Cause sometimes I can hit a wall.